How do we make aquarium wood sink? Simple answer is we can't. It needs to be fully waterlogged before it will sink, and it will do that when it's good and ready. However, there are a couple of things we could do to keep it submerged until it's ready to stay where it is. So we could soak it in a tub until it's waterlogged, but I've known pieces of wood that have wanted months and more to sink, so if we're keen to get it into our tanks, that's maybe not the best option. Then on from that, I've heard a lot of people say boil it first, and I think there's a place for boiling it. I think it's good to get all the nasties off of the wood, and it certainly helps to get some of the tannins out, but as for sinking, I'm not convinced that it helps, and certainly not quick enough anyway. So the next and easiest method is get your bit of wood into the tank and then sit some rocks on top of it. You could use some wood that's already sunk to hold it down. But if you're going to use rocks, you want to be really careful. If there's a chance of them toppling off or even getting knocked off by a large fish, you can imagine what that would do to your glass panels or a fish that was caught underneath there. It is a very easy way to do it, but we need to be really cautious with it for that reason. However, it will work, and once your wood's sunk properly, you can just take the rocks and stick them somewhere else or remove them entirely. For our second method, we need some aquarium safe slate. All we're going to do here is get some fishing line or some thread, some cotton, and just tie it to the slate, and then you bury the slate in the substrate. Again, caution applies. I read a report where a fish swam between the cotton and the wood, and as it struggled to free itself, gave itself some pretty nasty abrasions. That is not first-hand experience, that hasn't happened to me, but like I said, I did see it, so better to be safe than sorry. The solution to that is pretty simple though. If we tie the thread or fishing line in figures of 8 around the slate and then around the wood, crossing over between, it eliminates any of those gaps where the fish can get stuck. The third method involves getting your power drill. We need to drill holes the width of some stainless steel screws to slip through there, but not wider than the head. Then we need to pre-drill some holes in our wood the same width apart. It's just simply a case of lining them up after that and screwing the slate to the bottom of our wood. That's going to hold it together nice and tight. Again, the idea is going to be to bury the slate under the substrate. And if we're really fussy and want to tidy up behind ourselves, we can cover the screw heads with some aquarium sealant or silicone. There we go, that's our piece of bogwood in place with the screw method. You can see it's not trying to rise up or float at all. The weight of the slate is keeping it down. The benefit of using the screw method is you don't see any thread or fishing line in your tank either. But if you're using brown or green thread, you hardly notice it. And then when your wood's sunk, you can either remove the slate if you wish, or just snip off the thread and take that out. As I said, if you use the rocks, you can just lift them off when the wood is ready to stay in place there. So there's a couple of ideas for you anyway. If you've got any others, feel free to put them in the comments. Otherwise, I'm out. Later.